SEC Network analyst, former Razorback shooting guard, former NBAer, sports talker extraordinaire, Tom Brady fan, real Bostonian. Did I leave anything out there, PB?
That's it, my brother. You got it nailed down. How's everybody doing?
We're doing good.
Doing well.
Name me a couple of your superstitions you had as an athlete.
Well, it's the same game socks, washed, of course. I wore smaller shorts underneath my shorts instead of underwear. And, it's taking the same, driving the same way to the gym, listening to the same type of music, same songs, all those things. Really, it's more of comfort zone, right? Mm-hmm. Not so much superstitious. You just those things put you in a good frame of mind. So, and then because you do want that routine, and you don't want it to be disrupted. So that was probably a big part of it.
I like how you put it there. I've argued with Bubba Carpenter about that my superstitions aren't superstitions. It's just what I need to be ready for a game. That's exactly what you're talking about, and I think you and I are on the same thought as this. All right, so let me just ask a pretty general question. When you look at Arkansas basketball right now, that's what the conversation is here. 9 wins in a row, huge moment against Auburn on Tuesday. Do you worry about a letdown after that? I mean, we zeroed in on that Auburn game for a couple of weeks. Fans had. I think the players obviously kept, more of a shorter perspective of what was right in front of them. But do you ever worry about a letdown after beating a number 1 team in the country with such an emotional outburst when everybody rushed the floor?
There is that built, that side of it is going to happen. I think Coach Musselman tried to approach this game as the same approach that they, for every game. And he talked about that. There is, just because it's so difficult to stay that focused and the mental energy and, of course, the physical energy that you do, that you use, it's difficult, man. And I think Coach Muss understands that, but that's where understanding your team comes in. What do you do the next few days leading up to this Alabama game? I'm assuming they probably didn't do very much. Maybe he obviously you had to let them rest their legs because it's travel, but, there's a lot of things I think the coach can do to refocus the guys, maybe ease up on them a little bit, but not too much because, that was the biggest win. However, when all things being equal, we, at the beginning of the season, we had that marked as a W. Mm-hmm. 3 games into the conference, we're like, oh, geez. But I think all things are back to where we kind of thought. I do think if we can go 5-2 in our next 7, I think this weekend is this weekend and at Tennessee is going to be the 2 toughest matchups for us.
So when you look at Alabama against Arkansas, what is it that would trouble you about if Alabama does this or that? And sometimes for Alabama, it's just a matter of if they show up. If they play up to the level of competition or down to the level of competition. But what troubles you about what Alabama could do tomorrow?
Well, what's funny? It's like what Conzo Martin said about Arkansas before they played. He goes, "This is still the same team, still the same players, still the same coaches that were 9-0 at the beginning of the season, and this is still the Alabama team that beat Gonzaga, they beat Baylor, they beat Houston, because they have one of the best backcourts in the country. They haven't shot it percentage-wise as well as they did last year, and that's something that if they're getting the same shots, they're taking the same shots. Last year they were best percentage-wise. This year they're the worst percentage-wise. So, they just staying defensively, staying in front of those guards. And I don't know if we'll be able to do that effectively. Those guys, once they come downhill, that's Trey Wade, Audice Toney, I mean, those guys are big, strong, tough, physical guys. Bama's got those crafty little, they get in and out and cross you over and all types of things. So that's how do you and the thing is, it's like, it's just one-on-one. It's just matchup. It's like you can't sometimes scheme against somebody who's such a good dribble penetrator. That's why I always say dribble penetration is the most devastating move because, if you got a guy that can do it, you can't stop it. And if they can do that, it becomes very difficult.
Yeah, and Pat, when you have a big win like this, and I know it's different for every athlete, whether they, depending on which one they prefer, this with the game being on Tuesday and having to wait, that extra day than if you're playing Wednesday and Saturday. For you as a player, did you want that extra day to kind of let things calm down, or were you more of a, that was great, let's just get focused on to the next one, that way you don't get hung up on it? For you personally, which way did you kind of prefer it?
If you play good, you can't wait for the next game. Even if you play bad, you can't wait for the next game. So it changes, are you tired? All those things play into it. I think they probably, want to get back out there. It's always much better to play games than it is to practice. Mm-hmm. So that's something you always want to do is get back out there for sure.
And the atmosphere in Bud Walton Arena, that was only my third personal time in Bud Walton on Tuesday, and record crowd. Did that remind you of any Pacific game that you played at Arkansas with that loud and that type of crowd of 20 plus thousand people?
We had a lot of them, man. We had a lot of them. Fortunately, when I got there, arena was just built, things were rolling. So obviously, I'm sure you guys talked about the last time Auburn came number 2. That was a big game. So it did. And it was a few years ago. The Kentucky game was a big game. We were able to win that game. So all those memories come back. I'm glad those guys got a chance to feel those and hear those things. That's kind of cool for them.
So what about the ceiling of this team? Have we seen them at their best? You can't just beat Auburn. You can't beat the number 1 team in the country, and for that to be the biggest achievement of the season, and leave it at that. I mean, you want to continue to improve. It's really tough to do, especially after beating number 1. So,
right. What
does this team look at its best, or did they just play their best?
I think you look at it. They shot better than they have, so that'll be something to keep an eye on. They made 8 threes. That's not really, that's a lot more than they average. They probably average 6 made threes. So if they can continue to shoot like that, I had them slotted. I mean, I think they're a top 20 team, top 15 team. We know you get to the, once you get to the tournament, you start looking at different matchups, and they're good enough to go play in the second weekend. Now you get matched up in against the right team in the Sweet 16. Looking at another Elite 8, and at that point, though, you remember last year we played Oral Roberts in the Sweet 16. We were licking our chops because we thought it was going to be, Ohio State. I think Florida actually even. So it's tough to really say, man. I just think if they can shoot well enough, that opens up a lot for this team.
What about JD as the best player in the SEC or SEC Player of the Year? I'm going to put it in those terms because it's got to be partially.
Yeah, he's making a case.
Too. Yeah, he certainly is.
I mean, it's going to be tough, when you have a guy that is in the same league that's the number 1 rebounder in the country and averaging 16 points a game, and they're number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. That's Oscar Tshiebwe in Kentucky. And then you have a guy and could be the number 1 overall draft pick in the NBA whose team is the number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. That's Jabari Smith. So there's a lot. As good as he's been, there's a lot of guys that can make claim for it. So, but if he keeps playing like that, because he's the difference maker. You know, he is the guy that separates them because he's such a good scorer. There's not many guys like him in the country, like an entire country, that can do what he does. So if he can, if they do finish out 5-2, something like that, and they finish a top 3 team, I mean, that's big time stuff. So that puts him right there in the conversation for sure.
Mm-hmm. And other guys on this team, I think you see a lot of talent, Pat, and they're great college basketball players. I think Jalen Williams is going to go down as one of my personal favorite basketball players to ever watch. But now that we're getting to this point of the season, you start to kind of look at maybe what's ahead for some of these guys. And is there anybody on this team that kind of just stands out as that guy's going to translate very well to the next level? Because when you had Auburn in this on Tuesday, watching Jabari, watching Walker Kessler, you looked at those guys and you said, those guys are 100% NBA players. They are going to not only make it to the next level, they are going to thrive at the next level. Is there anybody on this team that you could see having that type of career in the NBA that we think that Kessler and Jabari are going to have?
Well, Jalen Williams could, just because of his size and his basketball awareness. He definitely could. We'll see the development of Devo Davis if he figures out what plays to his strengths. But yeah, I could definitely see Jalen having a long, healthy career in the NBA.
All right, Pat. Drew here tried to do a Boston accent a few days ago. He said he went to a game in Boston and somebody said the word baseball in a certain way. And I said, I've been up there. I know some Bostonians, they don't say baseball like that. So I need you to say baseball so that we can figure out if Drew's, full of crap or not.
Baseball? Baseball? How did he say it?
Go ahead, Drew. How did this guy say it?
Okay. So, Pat, let me set the scene. I'm right outside of Fenway Park. I've got my Orioles jersey on because I'm a big O's fan, and I'm buying a program. And the guy selling me the program said he wanted to ask me a question. And this is a question that he had. He said, what beach ball movie was filmed at Camden Yard? Instead of trying to say baseball, he said beach ball. So am I wrong, and is he the only person that has ever said that, and he just happened to say that to me?
Yeah, that sounds like you might have got a unique one right there.
A unique Bostonian speaking the most unique accent outside of Yinzer's, where I'm from, of course. Pat, we're out of time. I appreciate you as always. It's great to talk to you. Thanks for coming on today.
Boys, be good. Hope to talk to you again soon. Excited for baseball season, Phil, so I'll talk to you, buddy.
Big game is finally here as we hit Super Sunday with the last game of the football season. From scored, totals, player performance props, to where the next fired coach is going to land, BetOnline is the #1 spot for all things NFL betting in 2022. And with the new year comes a new updated desktop and mobile website. Sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BELIEVE to get started. That's BLEAV. And it's not just football. BetOnline's basketball, hockey, boxing, and UFC odds coverage is the best in the business. From sports right down to your favorite Vegas casino games, BetOnline is your #1 online wagering destination. BetOnline, the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports and play your favorite games. BetOnline, where the game starts.